The galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of Man. This is the Age of Darkness. Whether you're a warrior of the Legiones Astartes, an adept of the Mechanicum, or just a mere mortal in a universe of madness, you'll find a place here. Welcome to the Remembrancer's Retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Hello and welcome to the Remembrancer's Retreat, a Warhammer 30k Horus Heresy podcast. My name is Jesse, and we've got a big crowd today. We've got Will, we've got Dave, we've got Austin, we've got our good friend Wake, we've got Stephen, and we've got Caro. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So today,
Hello, you sweet summer children.
there's man, we haven't had a crowd this big in a long time.
Since the first episodes, which none of you should listen to.
No, don't. Yeah, skip the first
Those are classics.
50.
Are we on 50?
I'm telling you, we got to put them behind a paywall and charge them as legacy content. Ooh,
Well, not now. It just said how terrible they
that
were.
would be so rude.
It was a trick.
That's how you make money. You're rude.
So yeah, we're at comedy bang bang levels of population on a podcast right now.
Oh, no, right?
So today we're going to talk about Apocalypse and how it can work in Horus Heresy, because I know Will, Austin, Wake, and Dave. Can you hear us, Dave? Yep. Cool.
Yes.
Yep, they've all played Apocalypse. And turn my gain down a little bit. There we go. And I want to hear you guys your impressions of the game, because I have not played it yet, and I've only kind of glanced at it, then got bored. Then not bored. I got distracted by the
Dark Angel stuff.
the Dark Angel stuff, and the
good
Bits
distraction.
Market while you
About-
guys were playing. I was like, I got to dig through all this
Happens to
stuff.
everybody.
Yeah.
The bits market is dangerous.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
so yeah, Will, you were the one who initiated hey, let's all try this out. I think
And
it
I
was
think
last.
the only one who knows the rules or
Yeah.
owns the rule book.
Pretty much.
And I know, Christ,
And Steven's dying.
That's fine.
You hear the voices too?
we've got
So,
five. We've got five people crowd around this table. Dave and Will are online right now.
yeah.
It's crazy. Oh,
Dave's got the
Dave's
fancy
got
one.
Dave's got this rule book too. Awesome.
All right. So first off, I want to say this is not Warhammer 40k 8th edition. You need to understand that. Does it have a lot of the same kind of art style? Yes, because that's the way GW is doing 40k kind of art style and that kind of book design. But rules are completely different than 8th ed. It is so much not about competition. There are no points. There's only power level.
I mean, if
So going in
the
there,
rules
just
are
be aware
completely
that-
different than everything, really,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. They really are. So do not go in there with this just starting out with a negative connotation that, I don't want to play 8th edition. Well, it's not 8th edition. This is Apocalypse. So when somebody says, hey, do you guys want to do Apocalypse 40k or 30k or whatever, understand that more than likely they are talking about this game system and not 8th edition Apocalypse or whatever.
You hear that, Steven?
What?
You hear that?
No.
You don't?
I
Well, turn
I
the
can't
volume up.
hear anything.
Okay.
Turn me all the way up.
Just I don't know which
Steven?
one is
I can't hear anything because I'm just old on the inside and a little bit on the outside too. So
Yeah. So those of you who obviously are against change are going to have a problem with anything new, let alone a whole new game system. But if you're susceptible to change and you're open to that, then I definitely say give it a try. Go in with an open mind and know that it's about fun and just being able to play with massive armies on a table. You know,
So you're saying that this time it's not about power axes?
absolutely not.
I don't
Where-
They don't even have stats.
I've always said, yeah, they don't. They're just called melee weapons. That's how simple this game is. It's just like melee weapon. Doesn't matter what. So
Wait, so
okay, we'll drill down
my
into that,
Space
but
Marine power
opening
weapon
statements.
and like a
Hold
Titan
on,
power
hold
weapon?
on.
Hold on.
We'll get into that.
Hold on.
We'll get into that. But I need to give everybody else who has played it a chance to do an opening statement like I have. So, Dave, what's your opening statement?
So, I definitely was excited about Apocalypse because for two reasons, right? I like big games with big things, and Apocalypse, for the first time in Warhammer 40K GW history, fixed the major problem with setting up 48 inches away from each other, right? Mm-hmm. So the way damage works in this game is it is at the end of the turn phase, right? So it's alternating activations, with the strategy phase, and then there's at the end there's a damage phase that solves the problem of right, which was always, or I went first and I killed your really big toy, take it off the table, you don't get to play, which is always the bummer of big game Warhammer 40K, even like little game Warhammer 40K, right? So I was really excited about that, and it delivered. 100% it delivered. I played my game against Manny. Full disclosure, it was a bit of a chess game. He had 3 knights, I had 3 knights. They were slightly different in terms of stats, but I wanted to test the system and see how that played out. And I'll be honest, man, it's a lot longer than they would have in either 8th edition or under old 7th ed Horus Heresy rules. They lasted a long fucking time. So, Will, I'm excited to hear what you say about playing at like a different scale with, some of the, the infantry models, the tank models, basically the below the super heavy scale. I'm interested to hear how that game played out.
Absolutely.
Austin.
Yeah, so I guess there are a lot of things I like about it. Like Will said, it's not 8th edition, which is the biggest thing I like about it. It does have some of that
8th edition flavor?
Yeah, that's not the word I really want for it, because I don't...
Seasoning?
Like, tanks have no armor armor value. They have no facings, right? You have anti-personnel and anti-tank values for your weapons, so it's not like a 6 always wounds and you're only rolling a d6 all the time. But it bothers me less at the scale they're going for. Because in 40K and 30K, if you're playing a 2,000 point game or even a 3,000 point game, it's maybe a company of dudes. It's a couple of tanks if you're running a balanced list. And for me, from a story perspective, that tank has inherent value. If you're telling the story of how you're fighting that tank or that tank fights, then being on its side, being behind it, like those things matter.
Sure.
And that's what I hate about 8th edition, is because it doesn't. Like, one of my main gripes. But in Apocalypse, they're very upfront about saying, yes, I believe you that the armor value changes depending on where you're shooting the tank and line of sight and all of that. But there's 40 tanks on the table, and we got to get done today. So they're real good about. So like it matters less, because that tank is just one of 40. So who the hell cares where it is? And as somebody who's played it, as everybody knows by now, unless this is your first time listening to me rant.
If so, welcome.
Yeah. I play a lot of specialist games, and I love Epic so much. And this isn't Epic, but it reminds me of Epic. Like, I get the feeling that whoever designed Apocalypse sort of took a lot of design thoughts with Epic and put that into this. Like, there are orders, not as many as Epic. I think there's only 3 orders. And none of them really stop you from doing a thing. But like that sort of pre-movement thinking is important. There's a lot of maneuver. It's very obviously made to be played not even on a couple of 4x6s put together, but on like an 8x12 or something crazy like that. Because the things can do a good amount of maneuvering, and like those sorts of things will actually matter. And there's an air of unpredictability about it all. Excuse me. Because like Dave said, the damage is all done in the end phase, but unless you're shooting something like Guardsman, you can't actually you can't actually like guarantee that the thing is going to die. Because how it works briefly is that you have an armor value. It's based on a D12, but if you get hit once, you roll a D12, and it's like every other GW game, equal or beat the save value. Your dude lives. Great.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is if you get shot twice, instead of rolling one die on a D12, you roll one die on a D6. And suddenly your Space Marine 6-up armor save doesn't look that great. But there's always that chance, right? I played a game against Will where he had a squad of Terminators that had one wound left. And I think I put like 4 blast markers on them, 3 of which were big. And he had a 4-up save. I didn't shoot anything else at him because those fuckers were dead. Except they worked. And it went badly. Which I like, because it's another kind of mind game. It's not, all right, I've wiped out that unit, time to move on. It's, all right, everything is downrange. I can see the explosions. Do I keep feeding shots into that fire, or do I now go shoot these other guys? So there's a bunch of good thinking. It's not, even though it's really simple on the basics, it's not a stupid game. Like there's still a lot of thinking and tactics that'll go into it, which I like.
Cool. What do you think?
To add on to the thinking and tactics, I'm sorry to cut Wake off on his opening statement. One thing is the cards that we'll talk about are a real big thing that will also add a whole level of randomness to the. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wake.
So my initial thoughts were it's great. It's a great new system that uses a lot of the old systems. It basically fixes a lot of the old problems, I think, and still uses like the PowerPoint values. They still work really good for everybody getting an even base of models and everything. Mm-hmm. And like I think we played like 100 points just to get it started. And there was still a lot of models on the table, and we weren't running like a militia or anything like that, or like Tyranids or anything crazy. We were just running like regular Marines.
You played essentially 30k army. How many points would that have been in 30k?
Probably like close to 1,500, 2,000. I'm thinking.
When you had when I saw there,
I had a lot.
Probably
of
about 25, almost.
With the super heavy.
25 to 3,000, I think.
Yeah, definitely with the super heavy, but
and technically it was way undersized for what an Apocalypse game should be.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like it was. Like I had.
What was the suggested size for a beginner game?
300. Well, I don't know about the power level, but they
said 300.
They said
points
300 points was like the minimum.
300 is like the minimum to play it, but we were doing 100, and it felt.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun at 100 too.
And it was quick. Like we did, like the first game took long, but that was because we were still nitpicking rules and everything like that.
Yeah, we were bullshitting and making Will answer every question, which was every time we picked up a die.
Yeah. What am I doing?
But it was really simple. Like,
it was super simple. It was easy to pick up,
even with all that, it was only 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah, so it was the average speed for a game that size, except we were going at half speed.
Right, because I think the next game when you and Will played, it only took like an hour and a half maybe.
Yeah, and I didn't look at any of the rules before I showed up. Did you? Like, I think I might have read like one Warhammer community article.
I think I looked at point values and stuff like that just to see, to build an army, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like other than that, and like Will was saying and Dave was saying, I really like the fact that your models aren't gone. Like turn 1, okay, I lost half my army because I didn't get to go first.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, game's over, it's enough. And then like Will said, the cards, where I didn't think it was such a big deal, it turned into a really cool aspect of the game. Like it added a lot of flavor, or I guess kind of fluff, you know, where like Austin's saying, you take away the facings and everything and you lose some of the gameplay mechanic, but like the cards added a whole nother, because you don't know what the other guy has in his hand, and I didn't have like a warlord, so I was only getting half the cards every time, and there's just a lot of other like little things that can, like, you don't need to do that, but if you do, it's gonna help your game. And it was literally just fun. Like I am literally painting Tyranids again after I don't know how many years, because I want to play the game. And I think that in itself is pretty good. You know, that is a good deal, like, especially if people that have armies they didn't want to play before because they just weren't having fun with them anymore. as far as I know, we've only played a couple games, but everything seems pretty balanced army-wise.
I'm dusting off my Death Watch and buying models for them for the same
So
reason.
there you go.
Is this a thing for orcs?
Oh yeah.
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 Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do pretty much any
Do
army
demons,
now.
too.
Yeah. And those cards are awesome.
They're great.
Like, and you can build your own deck of, like, you get, 300 will or something stupid? And then you build your own deck of
Yes,
however
the
many.
box comes with 300 command assets, and then you can build a deck of 30, either per team or per player. If you're doing a one-on-one, it's per player. If you're doing a team, it's per team. Each team builds a deck of 30, and then you can draw those command assets. Once you've drawn them, you reshuffle them, and that becomes a new deck. You never run out. So even in a large game of like 20 people with 30 cards on each side, even if you go through all cards in a single turn, you can't, because you can only have 10 in your hand at a single time. So there's things like that to balance the cards.
Oh, so you burnt through
It's
those
a lot
cards
of
real
fun.
quick.
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
I think
because
I
I
was
remember
getting 2 a turn.
Okay, because I remember like in the previous apocalypses, like they had the
Strategic assets. I think they were
and I don't remember those just being dropped.
No, because you only had like 2 or 3 for the game.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal. These are much less ruinous, I guess is the right word. Like all your psychic powers are just from cards.
Okay.
And there's some other weird stuff, like that frickin' laser of death.
Yeah, there's some abstract stuff in
Which
there.
will be
but it's
fun,
pretty
because
neat.
what'll happen is you'll wind up like reading through your faction, like you've got your army, you play Nids, you play Death Watch, and you'll get your 30 cards together, and now I don't even have a base set to know what the hell Wake's going to bring.
Right.
Which is fun. Or you can just grab 30 at random, because they're all pretty good.
Yeah, we use the base Apocalypse cards, and we used a single deck, and we shared the deck and drew at random. And that was even more fun because we all knew we had access to the same arsenal, but we didn't know what we were drawing that turn. And, one game Austin drew the Vortex missile. Next game I drew it.
Vortex
back
grenade.
and forth. The Vortex grenade. Yeah. And that was really fun in itself. I think just using a single deck and that works for anybody was a lot of fun.
So they have individual decks.
Yeah,
for
like
different
Tyranids,
armies?
like for example, Tyranids have a deck, and then I think like Tau have a deck, and then
Do you know how many cards come in? Like the faction-specific decks?
I don't know, to be honest.
I would guess I can take a picture and post it up for you guys, but I want to say maybe 20 to 30 per faction. Some of the factions, I think, like Gene Stealer cults, who are relatively new, or Mechanicum, don't have a lot. Yeah, there you go. If you guys can see Dave's.
Okay, yep.
So, in those factions that have fewer cards, obviously you can supplement with your generic APOC cards. But what's great is you can have just a favorite card for yourself, and if you go to these large APOC games, just be like, hey guys, when this card comes up, give it to me. I love dropping this card down. But there's no cards in there that you would like tailor for an APOC list because they're all beneficial and they're all fun and very thematic.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is that if you're bringing no Psychers in your army, obviously you don't take all the ones that require a Psycher. But other than,
Right.
there doesn't seem to be any that was super better than another.
Can you give me an example? Because I haven't looked at any of this stuff yet.
So there's one, the Vortex Grenade, I think, does D3 of the, you roll a save on 12 blast markers onto a thing that you throw it at. One of the psychic powers that I used was, hey, you can put a kind shield around a unit, or maybe everybody within 6 inches, I forget. But they always roll their armor saves on a D12, even if they would otherwise do it on a D6. So, nothing.
Like one of the cards is Steel Initiative.
Yeah, like
that was super good. Yeah, but
Dave's got a card. What does that card say, Dave?
So, I will say that some of the cards are extremely specific, right?
Okay.
Down to if you're playing Imperial Knights, the house that you're playing. So you can only take the card if you're playing House Raven or, House Tyrannus. So they'll have I think on the card they'll have a primary ability That's what the command asset lets you do. But then you can default down to like a reroll hit or reroll save kind of thing.
Okay.
So you can still include it in your deck, even if it's not super specific, but you can also really build the deck that you want. So I think as the game evolves and as people get more comfortable with it, they will start to build that deck, right? That's their resource management, and that becomes a huge part of the game. But starting off, just using the basic Apocalypse deck that comes in the base game, that's the same thing that Manny and I did. We just threw the Imperial Knight cards in there as well. It's a great way to learn about what command assets will do. I do have my favorite card here, which I did not get to play, but it is the Vortex Missile.
Yeah, what does that do?
So, I mean, the Vortex Missile is Apocalypse, and if you guys don't know what the Vortex Missile is, you're missing out. So you can only include the Vortex Missile in your command asset deck if you have a Death Strike unit. So, right, this is the ICBM. This is the tactical nuke, right? That you can launch, and then this is what it does, right? So the command asset can be used at the start of the action phase. When used, select one Death Strike unit from your army, then select 1 point on the battlefield and place a marker. So you can just place a coin. At the end of the action phase, roll 1d12 for each unit within 6 inches of that point. On a 2 to 3, place 1 blast marker next to the unit. On a 4 to 8, place 2 blast markers next to the unit. And on a 9+, place 4 blast markers next to the unit.
So that's real rude. That's real rude.
So those blast markers, are those the bigger ones? Are those the tinier ones?
I think
So
each
they're
one
the
is
tiny ones.
It counts. Each one is 1, and then you double them up if you get more than 1.
No, go ahead, Will. You can explain this better than I can.
No, that's like Wake already got it. He nailed. I would have to say there are some other ones. You guys remember how in our APOC games, or our quote mega battles, which are APOC games that require force org charts. So, but I always try to do like a reserves thing. Mm-hmm. One of the strategy cards is a reinforcements, which is where you roll a d12 for the power of the unit that you want to bring in. So you want to bring in a tactical squad, they're 5 power, roll a d12. If you get 5 or above, that tactical squad comes back in as its own battalion.
Oh, cool.
Or if you want to do Terminators, which are 12 points, you got to roll that lucky 12. But if you do, bam, a whole 10-man squad of Terminators comes in, so that's probably my favorite one, is that whole bringing units back in.
Yeah, and they don't just come in; they come in anywhere within 6 inches, right? So
Yeah, just
it's
any board edge.
It's just like bam.
So are those reserves or are those units which died already?
You can
They've
bring
already
in
died.
Yeah, you can bring in a unit that died.
Yeah, none of this paying points to have a unit that may or may not come in.
Right.
So, one concern I have, we're talking about command points right now. I want to get to list building because list building is going to then get us to the problem I have. All right. And there is one problem I have. So list, you'll find that the list and how you build them, first off, the data cards, guys, if you're not aware, they're all free. You can buy the printed ones if you want, but you don't need to. You can print them all off of
Off
the
APOC
community page.
Yeah.
Did you say free?
Yeah, free 50.
God.
Free fitty.
It's free. Free Games Workshop rules.
Yeah, GW doing free game supplements, right?
What do you think, Will Smith?
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
I hate you for this one, Jesse.
That's how you know we've arrived.
Yeah.
When Will Smith shows up for that one sentence.
Now the
We
cast
spent
can
$20
start.
million to get him in here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to empty
So-
out the podcast fund to send him a royalty
Thank
check.
you, Patreon supporters.
I'm sorry. Continue on.
So first off, we're going to go into core detachments, and these are going to look familiar because artistically and they're pretty close to the 8th edition detachments. Dave's holding up a picture right there for you.
Yep.
The main difference is they only have one section, depending on what detachment it is, that is compulsory. An example would be a battalion. The only compulsory element here is 3 troops. After that, you can fill in with a bunch of optional stuff, but a minimum is 3 troops. Now, you're going to start to notice a pattern here that there's no HQs that are required. The Spearhead detachment is 3 heavy support. Outrider is 3 fast attack. And then Vanguard is 3 elites. Now, if you're familiar with 40K, you'll be familiar with those. Super heavy detachment is 3 super heavies. And when you do this, if you take an HQ, you can nominate an HQ to be that warlord. All right. There's also, real quick, I'll side to special detachments. You can include up to 3 special detachments in your army for every core detachment. So if you want to bring any of the 5 special, you have to bring one of the first 4 that I mentioned.
Which is something they blatantly stole from Epic.
Yeah.
Can you really steal it
which
from Epic?
the special detachments clearly look like support elements. So there's like a patrol detachment or an air wing detachment, supreme command, fortifications, super heavy, like a single super heavy. So those are clearly meant to support the larger elements of your main battalions, right? So fluff-wise make. The problem is that every HQ that you assign to these detachments, first off, there's no limit to the detachments you can take. If you want to take 3 troops 9 times and have 9 battalions that are all going on, and each of them only has 30 tactical Marines in it. I mean, that's a lot of tactical Marines. We're talking spread across 9 detachments, but still, you can do that, right? Now, the problem comes with generating command assets is for every warlord. Now, every battalion has an HQ, can be nominated as a warlord, and every warlord gives you an additional command asset.
So you can have multiple warlords on the table? Not
You
just
could potentially. You get 1 for the turn, and then if you brought 9 battalions, and each of them have a warlord in there, you could be drawing 10 cards per turn.
I feel like there's a but to the end of this.
There's not. That's it.
Is that your problem? Is that what you don't like?
That's the problem. Is that? But now the answer to that is the fact that the deck can only be 30 cards large, and is only 10 cards in your hand at a time, right? But just be aware of that in large games where you have 10 people per side and everybody's bringing at least 1 detachment, you are going to be drawing your 10 cards per turn. Just realize in smaller games of 1v1 and that kind of stuff, be ready for that. Just know that it's something that can happen.
So,
And you can play as many cards as you want during your turn? Or whatever your hand is, I guess?
Yes, as what is your hand is, yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of the cards say you can only play them during certain
Phases
of the game. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I've got a question for you, Will, which in my almost total inexperience seems like an answer to this problem. So when we played our game, and I think when I played Wake, you got a victory point for having like one of the 2 objectives, and then a victory point for every detachment that you kill. So
that's correct.
Is point for every detachment that you kill like a standard thing across all the missions? Like, is that GW's way of balancing?
They're all very different.
Aw.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, hold on. I'm pretty sure each one has a different. That might be.
Because I was thinking, man, if I could bring 30 guardsmen and like a commissar to just as a free card, that seems great. Except those 3 guardsmen and commissar are gonna die like fucking flies to Elon Musk's flamethrower.
Just feeding points to your opponent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point where you think, are models the answer? Sometimes they are.
I do.
They're always.
I do want to throw one other thing in there. So for people that want to just play like whatever they have, if it doesn't fit nicely into one of those force orgs that Will was talking about, they did create something called an ad hoc detachment.
Oh, you're right. Yes, thank you very much for reminding me that. That's very important.
Yeah, so what this is literally is everything that's left over, right? Like you bring everything you have, you fit it into the box, and then whatever's left over that doesn't fit into the box, you just like put it on the table and you say, this is my ad hoc detachment. And an ad hoc detachment is literally that. It's whatever the fuck you have. The restriction, or I guess the downside, is that you never can have a warlord as part of your ad hoc detachment, even if they're characters. So you can have characters in there, but they'll never become warlords. So that's a cool little way to kind of, if you got some loot.
And Dave just lost power.
Yeah.
Dave is dead.
I heard some thunder back there. I think we might have lost Dave.
I mean,
back, Dave.
just his
Oh,
connection,
no.
so don't worry about him.
Yeah, he'll be back.
It's okay.
The warp has
Inshallah.
overturned.
There he is. He's back.
Oh, there we go.
Answer your
All right.
question. Okay, Dave's back. Good.
Yeah, he's got thunderstorm going on back there.
I'm riding out the storm here, guys.
That's just the warp outside the
That's right.
the
Don't worry about
navigators.
it. Don't look through the window.
It's the eye
You're
outside.
just gonna find a tentacle full of eyes.
Or worse.
Eyes full of
One
tentacles.
thing I do want to say is that the book, the field manual or whatever they're calling it, comes with mission generators. So you can go down to generate even as much as like special objectives, deployment tables, twists. Twists are something that I think they started doing at the end of 7th, and they brought into 8th edition with their open battle cards that they did. But it'll be like, hey, guess what? There's acid rain, so everybody is always going to get one blast marker or something crazy, right?
Right.
And then sudden death tables. If one turn, like those are really fun. If one side has got like 100 power and the other side's got 300 power, and then the side that has 100 power is like, all right, well, I get one sudden death thing, and if I do it, I win the game. And that's something else where in this apocalypse they still have like fun objectives for you to conquer. Like there's a whole section in here on war zones, and war zones are each their own specific type of special rules added on to a game you're playing. Warp Storm, which has like a warp phenomenon table on it. Fog of War, which reduces visibility across the board. Yeah, really, really fun and open for narrative. So I think then with that, I want to segue into how this can be used for narrative 30K battle. So right away, with what I'm talking about, the war zones, being able to create these narratives, the rules, you just need one rule book for your group, and then all the data cards, including all the Forge World stuff, is already available for free that you can download and play with. I use for free. And all you have to do for your APOC event is to specifically say era specific only, and then list the armies that you're going to allow.
Okay.
You know, disallow your Xenos,
Hater.
but
Filthy,
allow
filthy
your
Xenos.
standard Astartes, and they have to be era specific.
So no Primaris, obviously. Or...
Correct. No Primaris, no Centurions, no Grey Knights, no Sisters of or Sisters Sororitas, or whatever the
Yeah.
the
Sisters
Bloody
of
Roses.
Unless you're playing Survivors of a Dark Age militia.
So that's what we're gonna get, right? So then, once you list what you're allowed to bring, you then have to tell people era-specific models. Well, okay, well, what about Solar Auxilia? Where do they fit in? We'll just run them as Deathcore Krieg, or Elysian Drop Troops, or Imperial Guard. Or I know some mortals that have some special power armor, and they're called Sisters of Silence. After that, I don't care what rules you use. Or not Sisters of Silence, but
Sisters of Battle.
Sisters of Battle, right? They're mortals. They're in power armor. You could they can take rhinos and stuff. You could totally use their rules for your Survivors of the Dark Age list, as Austin mentioned. And all it is up to your imagination. I don't care what models you're using, as long as you tell me what rules they are. I'm not going to know your rules. You need to know your stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. You tell me how many blast markers I'm supposed to put down, whatever. We're here to have fun. It all just comes down to the user's imagination.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you bring as long as the coordinator says, you know, this is cool. Yeah. Play it how you want to play it.
And really, there are hard, like, this is that for literally everything when we were talking about this except Solar Auxilia Infantry.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we just couldn't find anything that was like, well, what's better than a guardsman but has a 30-inch range, slightly better than average gun? The answer is not a whole lot. But F it. Maybe your boys are Solar Auxies that actually fight on ships. You know what's good on ships? hot shot las guns.
Yeah.
Like, just bring it.
Wouldn't basic Tau Fire Warriors generally kind of fit the
Dirty,
Exactly.
goddamn
Yeah.
Xenos.
Honestly, that's exactly it, Steven.
But you're right. You could bring, like, hey, I want to bring an Imperial Guard list, but instead of Guardsmen, I'll bring Fire Warriors for my Solar Oxys.
So,
I got no problems with that.
Well, do you think that Forge World is going to put out an Apocalypse supplement for Heresy?
Somebody needs
Or
to
are
ask
they just
that
going
Wednesday.
to?
No.
Or are they just going to
No.
leave us to our own imagination?
No, don't ask.
They're
Tell
gonna-
them we would love to see it. Because if you just ask, you're going to say, we can't answer that.
Yeah.
No, just tell
That's
them,
exactly
I want
true.
that.
Here's
Yeah,
here's
you need-
where I think we're coming from that, and I think this is why Forge World will not do anything more for Apocalypse than providing the free data slates. Is we've seen no command assets for anything Forge World. So if the Forge World team were going to put anything out, it would be a command asset card for a Forge World model.
What do you
You
mean
could
by
then-
command asset?
Yeah.
That's what the cards are
The
called.
deck of cards.
Oh, the deck of cards. But they have
Yeah.
rules for
Yeah.
all their models.
Because all the Forge World models have their rules on.
Right, they have data slates, but they don't have faction specific or
Yeah, there's nothing that
yeah.
says, like, use this if you're running a Legio Solaria Warhound.
Right.
yes.
Right. It'll just say, use this if a model has the Titanic rule, you know?
Are any of the Space Marine special cards for like Kakaradons or something? No, it's all just the
No.
main
No.
First Founding
Yeah.
and Black Templar.
And I think they
Yeah.
wanted to keep it like, really basic.
In-house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it could be a thing. Like if people really get into it, it might be something.
could be down the road.
because it wouldn't
Yeah.
be a hard port, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Just because they don't have it upon release or within a month or two of the release doesn't mean that they can't support it later.
Especially if we, and I have a feeling will probably will, start running 30K Apocalypse games. That starts
Yeah,
happening in a big
Talon.
way. Might do it.
Money talks, man.
Sometimes if
Talon is
sometimes
gonna
if you
be
want
our
Heresy
first
games,
ever-
you got to write them yourself.
But yeah, Talon in October is going to be our first APOC game with Horus Heresy, like in a large scale.
Badass.
So, and that'll be easy because it's all big Titans and Knights and robots and
Tanks.
Fuck
and
yeah.
flyers. You know, it's no infantry, so people should be able to just put their big stuff out and try out APOC rules even for the first time.
Push
There's
their
going to be
boxes
enough
around.
people there that know how to play it. Yeah.
Right, but there's nothing saying you can't bring your infantry either.
I thought there was.
Yeah, there is. I put
Is
a
he
rule
put
in
in
there.
there? I didn't
For
know.
Talon, yeah.
Maybe I should
If
read
you're an
more.
infantryman on Talon, you're having a real bad
Yeah,
day.
you're underground and or dead.
Nice.
Place your
Yeah,
model
and
on
One
the
of
people
table.
both.
that have
Please remove
people
your
have
mouse.
complained about that. They're like, well, why can't we have any? If it's APOC now, why can't we have light stuff and Xenos there? I was like, clearly you didn't read the book. And again, it comes down to the EOs, your event organizers, to tell people what they can and can't do. You have to run the event you want. This is just a tool for you to do that. If people are having problems writing lists, like how do I make a Iron Hands Legion army out of the 40K models? They don't line up, right? Tacticals don't exist. Well, they do. Just you have to deploy them in a different style. They do exist.
Yeah.
They're just only 10 man instead of 20 man, and nothing's stopping you from taking your 100+ tactical armor and power or tactical marines and power armor,
Or you can play the true Scions of the Great Crusade and play Chaos Marines, because you know who's
Yeah.
basic infantry come in blocks of 20?
Yeah.
Chaos Marines.
Yeah, and I will say that. I will say that after looking at it, Chaos, if you want to play Legion of Stardays for APOC, play as Chaos and just be like, we're loyalist, whatever, fine. Again, that's the EO to pick faction and all that and change your keywords like that.
Veterans of the Long War,
but yeah.
but on the other side.
Yeah. I also like if this could bring
veterans
back
of this
those
brand new
games.
war.
New war.
But yeah, we could definitely bring back Ulanor games. We can bring back what was the one?
Murder.
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 We can do Murder again.
Sweet.
Once Wake gets all his bugs painted.
Yeah, no,
rely
no
on you.
pressure.
Oh shit! Actually, guys, I think that might be the next one we do after Talon.
Murder.
Yeah, there's plenty of Tyranid players in Richmond.
Well, there's also, in general, I've been saying it'd be cool to do a lot of more Great Crusade era battles. And
Yeah, exactly.
with Apocalypse rules having Xeno stuff in it, it's entirely possible to do a game other than Murder or Ulanor, because like the Black Books all have notable engagements against certain Xeno
We
species.
could just have the
Plenty of-
Tau be those weird humans that had the gorilla servants. what were they called?
Interrex.
Yeah, we could have the Tau play as the Interrex, and we could go through with Horus and purge them. How cool is that?
I do like a good
Approximately
purge.
super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see a mini marine fight. That's what I want to see.
Some things to note. Again, it comes down to your creativity. You as the EO, people will approach you and be like, hey, I got these models. I want to run them as this. That's fine. Or no, you got to put your foot down if you're running these events and make the game you want. I just want to reiterate that.
Be a dick like
This
Will.
system is amazing, and it is very flexible and fun. So this is going to be the only game system I will host from here on out. After
Lofty
that,
words.
that's it.
Bold
No,
words
that's
for a
it.
man
I've
that
said
knows
it. I've been
Aeronautica
saying it in the
Imperialis
group
is
chat.
coming.
No, I will not be. I'll leave you for the specialist games as the master of those. I will stay at the big event or the big battle planner or whatever, because I enjoy doing it. But I like these rules a lot better.
There you go.
Another thing you guys left out, and I'll leave that to Will and Austin, really. We actually played with a Warhound. And what did you guys think about that as far as balance and everything? You know what I mean?
So
I played a complete infantry army versus
Death Watch, which was all infantry except for the Warhound Titan.
Except for
The minor edition.
and my infantry list. Like oh man, it was so awesome. I deployed my tactical marines along with a lieutenant and an apothecary in a phalanx formation. And then I was like, you know what? No, we'll go ahead. But it was just awesome to actually be able to deploy units in formations that actually kind of made sense for like blast marker purposes.
Yeah, 'cause
And
there's no
then
templates.
on turn 1, I was able to deep strike an entire 20 Terminators along with a chaplain and a captain, all within 9 inches of his Titan. And I was like, all these assault Terminators. So first off, that's something I've never been able to do in any 7th edition game or APOC game, is bring in all of my Terminators on a single turn at once, exactly where I want them. It was so thematic to be able to just be like, oh shit, these tacticals are facing a Warhound, call in the reserves, boom, lightning, dispersion, boom, lightning sparks, and all of a sudden 20 Terminators are there just ready to smash this Warhound down, you know? So awesome. But then he gave his Warhound the charge order, and it ran 48 inches away.
A tactical reposition.
And I ended up chasing it down the rest of the game while he just plinked away at my Terminators one by.
So what you're saying is it was super thematic.
Yeah.
It was like
the Warhound was like, God, I can't step on all those.
Yeah.
It's like stepping on Legos.
But I mean, when you think about it, we played a little game on a little table with a Warhound, and the Warhound didn't stand in the corner the entire game. I mean,
yeah, my Warhound moved
usually
a
that's
lot.
what happens. It's just like, okay, I'll put.
And
this
I would
guy
have
here.
moved more, but I kind of got like Will pinned me into a little triangle that I
stuck.
couldn't get out of without having to run through a bunch of Terminators. Yeah. And I will say that the Warhound, I enjoyed it. It was fun. I had a blast. It was not an auto win.
No.
I think they've done a really good job of making. So I had it with a turbo laser and plasma blast.
Yeah, here.
Plasma blast
They're
gun.
going off right now.
Yeah, the thunder. Yeah.
In the background. And it wasn't crazy. Like if I'd taken that in a 3,000 point game.
Yeah, you took the friend maker pattern.
Yeah, like you didn't kill my Warhound before it got to shoot. Oh, I'm so sorry, you've lost.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
End of army.
But they've done a really good job scaling the Titan killing weapons for killing Titan-sized things. Because it, like, at the end of the day, the turbo laser has 2 shots. And it'll put down, a big blast with every shot because it's devastating, so that sucks for tanks. Infantry, I mean, it's not great, don't get me wrong, but it's not the end of the world either.
Right. But
Plasma,
you're wasting that shot on infantry.
Plasma, it's got 4 shots. Like, you can cook an infantry unit if you want. But as Will knows, you're not going to cook a 10-man Terminator squad with it in one turn.
Yeah, and like we said before,
and especially, oh man,
I mean, even against the what you take a falchion,
Fellblade,
the Fellblade, it was 3 turns.
Yeah, it lasted
of concerted shooting to kill it.
Wow.
And I didn't think I wasn't rolling badly. I didn't, but it felt right too. So I was just like gunning away at it, and he's gunning away at me. And Will's Terminators are running up at it, and she's like plasmaing it. They're just wallowing through. Some die, some don't. It was very thematic. I liked it.
So it really was. And then he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta stop him." So I'll go ahead and lock all my Death Watch in with this Terminator blob and stop them right now. And he started pulling out all kinds of cards, dudes. I'm talking like, look out, sir. Like I was putting blast marker after blast marker on his captain, and he was just like, nah, look out, sir, and shrugging them off to librarians and chaplains and everybody. And I could not kill this dude. And then he breaks combat so the Titan can unload on me and just covers me in blast markers. And immediately I use Armor of Contempt, which gives me my best roll on blast markers possible. And I think it was like a Feel No Pain, where if I did take an armor, I could re-roll it.
Yeah.
So I got like the best roll possible, and I could re-roll it simultaneously. And
I did not
he had
kill
spent
them.
a whole not a single nothing. Nope, didn't half damage him, nothing. And
It was
I
real rude.
Like, blown away.
Pulled the old Grandmaster Skywalker on you.
Yeah. Not
it
even
felt
there.
so good that like
Oh, jeez.
I felt like a real magic nerd when I made the combo go off. I was like, first I'll go ahead and play Armor of Contempt, which allows me to re-roll.
I will tap this land.
Yep.
I'll tap this Terminator, making him super angry, and he'll get additional damage.
Sounds more like
And
a
then-
Yu-Gi-Oh player than a Magic player.
I
but
know,
whatever.
right?
Man,
But
way
it
down
was
the
a lot
hole
of fun.
nerddom.
And then come to scoring, like, winning feels like a Horse Heresy win, where it's like you win by 1 point or 2 points, maybe. Like it's not like a landslide. Like, but again, I think that might be our meta and our friendly play style, where we're never really out for points.
Says
'Cause I
you.
know some people. That's
right.
Some people
this coming
here
from
do play for the
Whackcaster.
point. Yeah, totally.
Richmond is not a win at all costs community, guys.
The only points we care about are kill points.
How many miles did you kill?
And how cool did you look when you did it?
That's another
Yeah.
little thing, like
Style
the
points, man.
coherency. Or like they don't call it coherency. What do they call it?
Like the command radius.
yeah,
or
command
whatever.
radius.
Yeah. So if you're a little
There is
warlord,
technically coherency, and it's half an inch.
and well, that's for the squads, but each
Exactly,
each
but the word
formation you
coherency is
take-
still there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each formation you take, every unit in it has to be within 12 inches of the warlord, and if it's not at the end of the phase,
Each model, not unit.
Unit.
Okay, unit.
if it's not, they get a little token saying, "Hey, you're out of command coherency." And if you don't get them back into command coherency by the end of the turn,
They
they
explode.
just die.
They
Oh,
just
wow.
run away.
Yeah.
They don't have a commander, so they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
my God, I
so
don't
like
know where to
there
go.
was a point where I was playing Wake and he had a little dreadnought maniple and he broke it off into 2 parts because he was in a tight place.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I kill that, I could kill his warlord right now. But if I don't kill his warlord, those 2 dreadnoughts that just ran off of their own are just going to kind of die.
Yep. So there's
which was
another
fun.
tactic, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's
But yeah,
no.
like the whole maneuver. That's another reason why you want to split your battalions up, so you can be in multiple places at once.
Yeah. And the orders.
Which is why. Yeah. Yeah.
Orders are a big deal
Let's
also.
talk about orders, right? Wake and I, we tried to discuss it beforehand and like be like, you want to kind of mix, or you don't want to mix your units. If you have an all assault detachment, it needs to be all assault, because when they are given that assault command, they will not be able to shoot. So
So if you got somebody
again,
in
it's
there
not
like
it's not in the rules that you need to make sure you're keeping them all with each other. It is best practice, is what I would call it, to have all your shooting units in one detachment together,
Yeah.
or spread out between
Don't mix
multiple.
las cannon squads and assault marines.
Yeah, because the unit
Yeah,
like
don't put
your
assault
tokens-
marines.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it's not unit based; it's detachment based. So that whole detachment has to move with whatever order you give it. Which will, like Will was saying, if
Exactly.
you mix it up, you're just kicking yourself in the nuts. Really, it's just going to be.
If you have an assault squad with a Sicaran battle tank and you give it the charge order, the Sicaran battle tank gets to move twice its distance, just as the assault marines do. However, it can't shoot now but the assault marines can still make their melee attacks.
It does get to use treads,
Yeah,
Oh,
it does
you're
get
right,
its
yes.
10-up tread shot. Yeah.
which
where
gives
it
it
can
one
kind of
attack.
crush you.
And it is like baby's first orders.
Yeah, it's super
Not
simple.
like BFG or Epic or Titanicus.
So it's not like
You
six
have
orders.
You have 3 orders, and one of them is really just the I'm a normal person order.
Right.
Because you give everybody an order, and there's the charge order, which
Take
is
aim,
double
advance,
move, and then
something.
take aim, which is you don't move, you have +1 to hit. Pretty standard stuff. And then the I'm just doing my normal thing order, which
Move normal.
What
shoot.
is
Yeah, you
the-
can move, make a shooting attack, or a melee attack.
Yep.
Now, that said, you don't know what your opponent has placed down until the issue order phases up, and then you all reveal it at the same time and take turns going. So if you know that he's got a charge order, he's going to go off, and you have an advance order, maybe rather than moving up the board, you're going to go ahead and move back and still fire at him,
Gotcha.
right?
or maybe you use a card to switch his charge order.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or maybe
That's
use a
another thing,
charge
right?
to switch your order to a first take aim because you want to shoot him up before he gets there.
Austin's
I
not
know you were
Exactly.
saying. I know you were saying it was like
Not
baby's first
concerned.
commands.
Yeah.
But with an apocalypse game,
No, you
The
don't.
simplicity
You
is
don't
probably
want.
good. You don't
like,
want
I was
6 or
not
7.
meaning that in like a derogatory fashion. It's just there's only 2 you have to worry about. They're real simple,
Yep.
but it's enough to give more flavor and like tactics to the game.
But I mean, really, like the charge thing is like, if you give him that command, it looks cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the dude's
and
like,
things
you know,
move.
Yeah, you're
right?
halfway
like,
across the table.
Like you can have infantry that just go 12 inches. Standard.
Yeah, and it
Don't worry
looks
about it.
awesome when all of a sudden, like, there's no roll for it. You just double move, and all of a sudden,
wow.
like, come movement phase, I reveal that I'm going to assault with my Terminators, and all 22 of them bulwark right into fucking somebody and just shield slam them and start pounding them to death. You know, like they move 10 inches really fast for Terminators. So,
Yeah, and they do have
like-
variable
like-
move for a lot of other stuff too. Like, and I know
Yeah,
that's more
which
of
is
that's an
nice.
8th edition thing, and one of the few things I like about 8th edition is that it's not just a tank; it's a tank that goes 10 inches or a tank that goes 12 inches. So you start like doubling up those types of movements,
Yeah.
and suddenly things are on the other side
It's
of the
just
board.
like the
Now, a lot of for those Terminators and stuff, do you also have all the different types of Terminators, or is it just one general kind?
Oh, that's actually a great question where we can talk about some of the data slates, right?
Yep.
You'll find that they are very generic. Your commanders, really, their war gear is
not
a
great.
weapon.
Yeah, you're
right?
not, and you're not trying to kill
It'll
people with
be-
your officers.
No, your officers give your armies your special abilities, and that's why you pay points to bring them.
Mm-hmm.
And also for warlords, you get your cards.
So
But
your warlords are basically the war gear for your army.
kind of yeah.
very good. Yes, that's
Well
actually
put.
exactly how I would put it. Yeah, that's perfect, man. Because you can buy an apothecary, which at the end of the damage phase, he'll remove a damage token from anything he's in base with. That's similar to buying Feel No Pain or something like that, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So I got another
And they
quick
are
question.
very generic. Go ahead.
It's kind of a tangent, so we'll talk about it later. But I wanted to talk about movement trays, if they're like worth it or not.
Yes.
Yes,
The
as someone who
GW
plays horde
ones?
ones, yes.
Not just GW, but just in general. Is it good to have them in movement trays?
Yes. Yeah, I wish I had movement trays when I was moving around 30 tacticals at once.
Yeah, because like in our 30K games and everything, you have to worry about, spacing them out so you don't get
Sure.
wrecked by a blast mark or everything. In this one, it doesn't matter. So if you have a tray, you just move them around.
Okay.
And they're getting removed as whole units, not as individual models. So
Oh, yeah,
that also
so-
helps.
yeah.
So you don't have the kind of ugly vibe of, well, here's this 10 model movement tray that only has 2 models on it, but I need to keep the coherency, so I guess it'll work. Like,
Gotcha.
Played a lot of fantasy, had
Okay.
that happen. They fixed that.
So it's not per model. Okay.
Yeah, everything's unit.
yeah, and things don't have a lot of shots. Like my Death Watch
Yeah, that's a, yeah,
10-man
absolutely.
tactical squad had 2 shots.
Well, pull that card up, like if you can, Will.
Yeah, bring up like so,
Dave.
and a lot of stuff is generalized, right? Like my Death Watch are probably an extreme example because every dude can have a combi weapon and it can all be different, and we can have thunder hammers and power fists
special
and
Death Watch.
Fuck all that.
No. Ah.
Your heavy weapons get a separate attack. Like so, my frag cannon, my heavy bolter get a separate attack. Everything else is just Death Watch bolters. Deathwatch bolters.
So, and I know some people would complain about that. For example, like if we were going to analog this, right, and say, well, I want to use Phalanx Warders, how would I use them? Well, just use them as Assault Marines. And it's like, well, I don't have the axe or the shield. Well, yeah, but at this scale, what is that? They're all going to die the same. We're talking about where Titans roam. You think your power armor and your little shield is going to be much different? No, just play them as whatever looks killy and go with it.
Yeah, that reminds me of Epic a lot. Like, you don't have upgrades for like stands in Epic, right?
Individual.
Yeah, the individual is meaningless. Even the squad, for everybody who's not Space Marines, is just a subunit of the actual maneuver unit. And this is just like that. Like a regular tactical squad. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go, Dave.
Can I jump in? Just a caveat on what Will said with this is where Titans roam. So to go back to the original discussion on issuing orders and that you have to issue the same order to the entire detachment, that's correct, but there's a special rule called Engines of War. So if you issue an order to a super heavy detachment, any super heavy detachment that's carrying out an aimed fire, which is the +1 BS, or the advance order, can still do a shoot attack and a fight action, right? So they've got more play than the
Which
infantry.
makes sense.
Right. Sure.
And this is also really important because if you give a super heavy detachment or even a super heavy unit, right, an assault order, it attacks with all of its melee weapons. So if you melee out a knight, right, so if you give a knight paladin a Thunderstrike gauntlet and a Reaper chainsword, unlike 8th, unlike 7th edition, that motherfucker is coming in and rolling 4 attacks with the chainsword and then 4 attacks with the Thunderstrike gauntlet. And it is the most brutal thing I've ever seen on a battlefield.
And that's huge because most units are getting like 2 shots.
Yeah.
Like a tactical squad, just a vanilla tactical squad, 10 man, 2 shots. And they're bolters and not great.
Yeah. On that note, though, I think, Austin, you hit it on the nail on the head because it is not about the model. It is about the unit. And while 10-man tacticals may only get 2 bolter shots, I had 30 tacticals, which is 3 squads, and each squad had a missile with it also. So when I was getting rapid fire, I would be getting 4 shots per squad. So that's 12 dice.
Yep, 3 with the bolter and 1 with the missile. Yeah.
Yep. Or no. Rapid fire allows you to double the shots of your basic weapon.
Yeah, one more, not double. One
more +1.
So you were right.
It's only 1 more.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's only
so
1
3
more.
shots.
So you were
yeah.
right. So 3
And
with
then
the bolters
missile.
and then the missile for 4.
That was another.
That's right.
Like to piggyback on that. That was another thing we kind of ran into a problem with, where we were counting. We weren't counting hits. We were counting hits when we should have been counting dice rolls. So that was another rule we tripped over a little bit that people might want to, keep an eye out for, because it was like it's like +1 on your dice roll, not +1 hit or +1 to damage or something like that. So just another.
Which brings up something totally unrelated. Are we good with this? Are we moving on to the next sub
No, I'm sorry. That was it. It was just me saying that like the small, when you fight as a unit, then you feel like you're fighting, or when you fight as a detachment, you feel like you're fighting as a unit. Then rolling all those dice, you're like, man, I feel so powerful. And you're like, oh wait, it's just tacticals. So
Right.
I guess it's not that.
But it wasn't bad. But I wanted to talk about the morale phase now, because I thought that
that's
was
super
really,
cool.
really well done. The leadership is on a D6, right?
1 second, I'll pull it up.
I want to say the leadership checks are done at a D6, and Space Marines
Yes, they
have. I think Deathwatch had a
They shall
7.
know no fear.
Yeah, Deathwatch had a 7 for their leadership, which D6. What the hell, guys? Every blast marker you take is +1 to the die roll, and if you exceed it, the unit vanishes. So even something like Will's Terminators,
They take 1 point of damage. I want to.
or 1 point of damage. I'm sorry, 1 point of damage. Most things don't have a lot, so it felt like they were just being
Yeah,
rude.
most things have just one damage.
Yeah,
So
a 10-man tactical squad has 2. And you roll morale after you take the saves. So it's a great way to finish something off. So even if, Will's Terminators have a 4-up save and he makes all those saves because I put 9 blast markers down on him, well, he's only leadership 8, so he's probably going to lose a guy, take a wound. So I thought that was a really neat mechanic. And they also have, is it badly wounded? Critical. So once you've taken more than half damage, so for most things, like a 2-wound thing, it's never going to matter. But like my Warhound, if it has 12 wounds, and once it takes that 7th wound, suddenly everything gets a little worse. And that's a neat thing.
So can you guys, real quick, can you take me through, a round? Let's just say it's one tactical squad versus a tactical squad, and how would that play out?
That's all you will.
All right, I got it right here. So first off, we start out with the initiative phase. Both players roll a d12. Player with the highest score has the initiative.
Okay.
Then we go into the order phase, which is marking out command units, setting up reinforcements, generating command assets, and issuing orders to detachments in that order. It's important that you do that in that order. Because if you have a card that says, if you generate a command asset that says, reinforce 1 unit immediately versus reinforce 1 unit at the next setup reinforcement, then you'd have to wait till the next turn, right? Mm-hmm. Because issue command assets comes after setup reinforcements. All right. So you would mark any units that were out of command range for your commander, who has a 12-inch range. Then you would go to set up reinforcements. So if you had Terminators that were coming down from Deep Strike, you would set them up now. Mm-hmm. Generate command assets, which is when you'll draw cards. Issue orders, and these are advanced, aim, fire, and assault. We've kind of talked about them all. Advanced is your general. I'm going to walk and shoot or attack in melee. Aimed fire is +1 to hit, but -1 to melee attacks. And then assault is double movement and cannot shoot. There's also things like no actions, free actions, engines of war, like Dave pointed out. So that is the order phase. It ends when everybody issued orders, and then you all turn them upside down and move into the action phase. The first thing you'll do in the action phase is move. Mm-hmm. Then you will conduct your shooting actions, and then you will conduct
detachment by detachment. So it's I go, you go. So you'll activate a detachment. It'll do all of these steps. The other guy will then pick one and do it.
Gotcha.
And you guys will do that until all detachments have activated through each one. So you'll all activate throughout your move, then you'll all activate throughout your shoot, and then all activate throughout your fight. Once that happens, you move on to the damage phase. In the damage phase, you're going to check if a unit routed. So if a unit that had a out of coherency token on it in the order phase, after the action phase, still has not come into coherency, that unit has routed. So that's why you do orders and you mark your coherency in the beginning, and then you have your movement phase. You can move back into coherency. Come the damage phase, if you haven't done so, that unit's dead. It's gone. Bye-bye. Then you're going to make your saving throws. Saving throws goes into detail. Large blast markers are done on D6, and small blast markers are done on D12s. So obviously it's easier to make your save on a D12 than it is to make your save on a D6.
Sure.
Then you're going to take the morale test, which Austin talked about, and then the turn reset.
So there you go. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it is 4 phases in a single, and throughout each phase you are alternating. So if you do something, then it's the other player's turn. So it keeps everybody engaged consistently throughout the turn.
Instead of waiting 15 minutes for the movement phase to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or, no, Steven, sometimes much longer. That's like why every APOC game we host, the first turn has to be like an hour long per side, and then I slowly reduce it by 15 minutes throughout. But I don't think I think with this system, that is going to be alleviated quite.
Hey, Will,
go ahead.
Can we just go back to the routing? Because I think that's a huge part of this, right? It really speeds up the gameplay, and it's a huge part of the tactical gameplay. So if you take somebody's warlord out, right, then any unit that is out of coherency is automatically taken off the board, right? They're just dead.
Well,
so
you can nominate a new one.
Right.
Well, can you?
Yes.
Yes.
What do you have to nominate a new one?
No idea. I just know that Will told me that was a thing I could do.
When your commander is killed, you immediately nominate another unit who has the next highest leadership in line.
Oh, so it's not a character. You don't need a character.
No.
Okay.
That's why you don't even need characters for detachments. You can run just 3 tacticals, and then one of those tactical squads is designated as the commander of that element.
And also, we should point out
you move the little token around.
Exactly. That's why you have those little command tokens.
Okay.
Yeah, we should also point out if you do have an independent character running around, you can't just have him picked off by a Titan on the other side of the board. You can only shoot at independent characters if they're the closest thing.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
But I mean, that's still good to note, because if you jack someone's warlord and he's got to pick a guy that's on the other side of the board,
yeah,
you're still taking people out of the.
It could make things real rough.
It's still a good tactical call to make sure you know where they're at.
And they're not getting those buffs, right? If you kill the guy's librarian and he draws that psychic power card, well, good luck. You can't use it.
Yeah, wasted that one. So yeah, it's definitely something to keep aware of when you're playing.
Gotcha. Well, we are running up on about an hour right now. You guys got any closing thoughts you want to talk about with Apocalypse? We'll start with you, Will. Do you have any closing statements?
Yeah, give it a try. Don't be afraid to shape it and mold it to be what you need it to be. It is a tool that is there to help EOs run large games for any narrative setting in 40K, 30K, anything to do with Space Marines.
Warhammer in general.
Yeah. So yeah, just be flexible, be open. If you're interested in something like this, run it by the local players to set it up and see what vibes with them. But yeah, absolutely. You can still play APOC game with 40K players also, and you just have to enforce the same strict standards as fully painted and must fit the narrative,
Or you can sink down to their level.
You want. Yeah, just sink down to their level where they let unpainted models and have no narrative
Play Great
or reason,
Tide,
and they're
it'll be
just
fine.
rolling dice.
Paper cutouts.
But yeah, so just realize it's a tool. It's not you're not giving up a piece of your humanity by playing this version of 40K. So give it a shot.
Will, change is bad, no matter what.
I also have a question. So this game is officially supported by the Warhammer store as well, so we could play there at any time as well, or no?
Yeah, it's a
They
GW
sell,
game.
Sick.
they sell it all there, yeah.
Okay, it's pretty handy.
Cool.
Except
Dave.
they only have 4x4s.
Yeah.
Well, we can make it work.
Dave, what do you got?
So I will absolutely caveat on what Will said. I think this is the system to play mega battles, which is like anything over, 3v3, right? Because it has alternating activations, it speeds up the gameplay. Because it has damage at the end, it gets away from that, all my shit died first turn, I can't play. And you have to figure out some weird recycle mechanic, right? This is a very intact game system that really lends itself to big gameplay.
Yeah, from what I understand, it seems like everyone stays engaged.
Yeah, and I would say that don't be afraid to play it at smaller game points too. I think it could be really fun at under 300 power, and I think the way to tailor it to your community is just come up with some really cool command asset cards, right? I mean, that's the next level. The next, sort of like what the Oz 30K Andrew Hollis does with the
Legion-specific cards.
Yeah, and the stratagem cards for ZM and stuff. Like, I could see us doing something like that for our community, 30K specific. Hey, here's a command asset deck for you. And then, holy shit, man. I mean, how cool would that be?
Yeah. handful for each different legion.
Well, you could build you could build command assets for your narrative. For whatever side is versus who, you could just use
Even
your
just
own.
straight up-
Not even Legion. Like, oh, here, Steven, here's your Infinite Grave command assets. Go for it.
Or just like you can make some specifically for an event.
Right. Whatever you wanted to do here.
We're in
And that
murder.
in itself saves EO's time from making up dumb special rules
Right.
that need to be remembered. And like, God, so many times I'm like, guys, just please remember, if you don't move, you can fire twice, or you can fire twice your
Never
distance.
did.
And it's like none of, because you forget it's not part. Like, just get
It's
the
just
cards, man.
not part of. It's just not ingrained in the mechanics in your brain.
Exactly right.
You didn't use your outside voice, Will.
That is my fault. But the command card asset, creating your own, huge idea that I'm in love with now, Dave. So
Cool. Austin.
So two things. One, I've been playing 40K since I was 11, and when I realized that I just did not like 8th edition at all, it kind of broke my heart because I was done with 40K.
P.S.
and
Austin's only like 14, so he hasn't been playing long. Okay.
But I'm back now. Like, I'm back into 40K because of Apocalypse, which is kind of awesome personally. And like, oh God, I hate 8th. So if you hate 8th so fucking much, give Apocalypse a try. You'll enjoy it. The other thing is, for all you specialist gamers out there, swap inches for centimeters and play Apocalypse with epic models. Like, straight up.
Yeah, that
seen a
looks
couple
great.
posts
Have a stand of epic Space Marines, be a 5-man tactical squad, and knock yourself out. If you're a little hesitant, don't want to like buy, don't have the money to buy all the big toys, roll out your AT models and some epic dudes. Pick them up off eBay for cheap and just go crazy.
Cool. Wait.
Really, just give it a try. I mean, don't hate on it because you think it's another 8th edition nightmare. Just play it. Play it with your friends. Play it with people. Play it at whatever level you want to play it at. Give it a try. It's really easy. I think this would be a really great setting for new players because they're not inundated with rules. They don't have to like keep flipping through a book. You have a data cards that are free that you can just look at.
Hang on. No, I promised myself I'd stop.
Don't have to
If you
spend
do it
every
again, I
last
hit
point.
you.
Yeah.
Don't have to spend every last point trying to kid out a sergeant.
Right, and you're not spending, a bunch of money on all kinds of stuff. Buy a couple units, play the power level you can afford. Have fun with it. It's really, that's all it's about. And it was really good. Like I said, I haven't played with my Tyranids. They have been collecting dust in my closet for I cannot even tell you how long.
Since Shield of Ball.
Yeah, definitely, which was eons ago.
Oh right, yeah, that Shields of Ball kit that was bloody.
Yep. The whole campaign supplement.
Yeah.
That came and went like a passing dream,
Like most do.
like most do.
And really, just give it a try. It's fun. We had fun. We played a 100-point battle. Took 2-3 hours, and that was a lot of bullshitting.
And like you said, if you took the right units, like smaller power level, like points, individual units, you could play it at 50 and have a good time, I think.
Oh yeah, easy.
Cool.
And it would just be fun. Just give it a shot.
Okay.
Also, shoot if you guys have questions, send an email.
Yeah, don't
We'll
ask us, but ask Will.
Yeah, we'll send them all to Will, and he'll let
Or
you know.
Dave. Dave's got a rule book.
Yeah.
We also have
That's
a
the other
voicemail.
thing, real quick. One question about the voicemail.
Yes.
Real quick. You only need about one box per gaming group, honestly. You just need the rules and the command assets. And, it comes with D12s and D6, but I'm sure if you're a gamer, you've got some of those already. But really, you just need you and your community of 2-3 buddies of you, or 4 buddies, however many friends you have. I don't know. I've got like 1 maybe. Then you guys come together, you buy the book, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And also on the subject of dice, because we hadn't mentioned this, it doesn't take a lot.
No.
Like, I think
No,
you
it
roll
doesn't.
like if you're rolling like 4 dice at a time, that's
That's a lot.
Yeah,
of
That's a
dice.
handful.
rolling the
Apocalypse.
12 dice for my tactical squads was the most dice I'd ever rolled.
and
in
that
the
was
entire
rolling
game.
3 units together,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Technically you
Yeah.
shouldn't do. Whatever.
Right. I'm a cheater. We
So
all
yeah,
know this.
if you play D&D and have like 4 sets of D12s, like I know you do if you play D&D, you're good.
Cool stuff.
Steven, have you been slowly unbuttoning your shirt this whole night?
He
yeah,
came
I
like
can
that.
I can see a nip now.
Free the nipple.
Free the nipple, man. Pasties are for losers.
You heard it here, folks.
I'm from Europe. I know it.
So, Steven, with all of us selling you 8th edition this whole past hour, you ready to give 8th edition a
It's actually funny.
There is no APOC. It's only 8th edition.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. I had been reading through the new Chaos Space Marine Codex again and reading their fluff and reading stuff. And I've been saying to a couple people how I kind of miss playing against aliens. Like the past 3 years, all I've played against is other Space Marines and Robot Church. And I kind of miss...
And mortals, you bastard.
Yeah. And I kind of miss planting my feet on the ground and watching Tyranids come towards me. So I've been ready to get back into the new 40K for the past couple months.
Huh. Cool.
And I hate change, so like...
It's true.
Yeah.
He does.
Undeniable fact.
Literally, every time Steven gets change at a store, he'll like smack the employee's hand and be like, "Get this bullshit out of my."
I'm legally disallowed from using cash anymore. Like, yeah.
I mean, it's not a big loss. The cashier stocks.
I can only pay in exact change.
What do you think? Are you interested in playing Carol?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last Mega Battle,
yeah.
I played it. I hated it with a passion because somebody made me War Master. Also, I did not know any of the rules, phases, and things. Like, I had Red Butchers in a Spartan, and I kept missing to disembark because I kept forgetting when to disembark. So I was just sitting in there, screaming around in the Spartan, didn't do anything. And I just had overall not a good time because there was so much going on, so many people, so much random stuff.
It's a little overwhelming when it's your first.
Yeah, and then I had
'Cause I remember-
demons. And
Especially when you spend a lot of time sitting around waiting for other stuff to happen.
Jesse and
back in
I
30
actually
minutes.
played our first Apocalypse game next to each other
Yep.
at the Dragon's Den,
And
said goodbye, and then didn't speak again for like another year and a half.
It was like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and then one day was like, hey, weren't we standing next to each other? Like, became friends, completely forgot about the Apocalypse encounter.
Yeah. And then it's like, wait a second. Although, fun fact, that Apocalypse game was my second game of Warhammer ever. And holy crap.
That was a cluster F.
And we're lucky he ever came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. It was bad. Now let me tell you something.
What happened?
That game of APOC.
So bad.
It was
So,
What
like,
was
I-
that?
I
Did
was
somebody-
playing as
It was
I
6th
played
edition.
my Tau. No, 7th. For me, it was
No,
7th
it was
edition.
6th.
No,
I'm
it
talking
was-
about the game
that
I
Jesse
played.
and I
I'm
played
talking
was
about the
okay.
first APOC game I played.
Oh, I got you. Let's talk about
Which was,
Will's game and not ours. and
Yeah,
mine.
because y'all's game, bullshit. 6th edition. Nobody cares. That's so old. That's so last summer. 4 or 5 years ago.
That was 2 editions ago.
How many
But,
years?
This is what it
I
feels like
brought-
for you, Austin.
I brought like my kitchen sink Tau army, and I was like, I painted up all these guys. I had cool bases for them. My Tau looked really fun. I liked my Tau. And then I brought him to an APOC game, and I got completely smashed because I had like Fire Warriors and like a regular new person list.
Oh,
and,
brought your
I was like,
infantry? That's
"What?"
cute. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Then he
And
smacked
then
Macro
somebody
cannon.
brought on 3 Bane Blades, and I was like, okay, this is
Where
this
are
is a
your
game for me.
riptides? Where's your...
Yeah, it's pay to
Wave.
win,
I don't know what's
sir.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Meanwhile, my
and
first
that's the
game
thing.
at
I
APOC
feel like if I had that army in this APOC, it would have been a lot different.
Well, it's time to go back and buy some more Tau, Will.
I guess it is.
Nobody
bitch.
should do that.
You did want to sell your Iron Warriors. I heard you say that.
Iron
Yeah.
Hands. He already
Yeah,
sold
those
his
guys.
Iron Warriors.
I can't keep up.
Let's just sell
Did I?
everybody's stuff.
Yeah, you
Oh, I
sold your
did,
Iron
yeah.
Warriors a long time ago.
Yeah, I can't remember who to though.
Sometime
Forgot.
after the
Bye-bye.
Formex game,
Rest
I
in-
believe.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super
wanna
excited
buy
to get
Iron
into more
Warriors.
Xeno games, like Crusade era games. I think
Yeah.
those are gonna be a lot of fun. So get ready for more of those because we gonna get it in, son.
Super
Cool.
excited.
All right. Well, then at that point, we're going to go into plugs and wrap it up and call it a night. Go into plugs.
Wow, that's way better than just
Plug.
Plug it
Will,
up.
you got anything to plug tonight?
Just Lancaster painting. I put up some new terrain I just recently finished up there, so give that a look.
Cool. Dave, what you got?
So if you're listening to this, I don't know when it's going to release, but you're probably at Nova. Come by, say hi. We'll be upstairs in the charity lounge, right?
Yep.
8
o'clock Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, just come upstairs and hang out.
Yeah. A lot of us will be there.
At Nothing Go Thursday, I'll be looking for some games. I'm at Nova until Monday. So Sunday, if you guys want to hang out or get a game, just let me know.
Cool.
Word.
All right, Austin.
Well, Dave kind of stole my plug. But there's also the pub quiz that we're running at 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Yep.
9 o'clock. God, yes.
We
9
start
o'clock.
Goofing off at 8, and then
You
after
start
the
goofing
GW
off.
That's right.
The GW review goes until 8:30.
Yep. Allegedly.
So they claim.
Yeah. You're going to have to keep a backup copy of the...
I'll run away.
Pub trivia. Yeah.
I'll run away.
Okay. Okay.
Inshallah, unless they tell me BFG is.
You got to
coming
get
back.
all the way to. You got to get all the way to the.
I'll
top.
take the stairs. It'll be fine. Just some bearded guy, red faced and stroking out on like the 12th floor stairwell. It'll be me. Pass me a beer. I'll be all right.
Yep.
Yes, and one of our old episodes has an answer to the toughest question that I will ask at the pub quiz. I don't know which one it is. It's the one where we talk about the Psi Arcana from Malevolence.
Okay. Well, I think the titles are called Psi Arcana. Part
Oh,
1,
good.
Part 2.
So go listen to that again, because in our
In
dithering
fact,
through that,
listen
I do,
to every single episode a few more times. Just
well,
To be
presumably
sure.
not between now and Nova. But
No, presumably please now before Nova, because we need them ratings. We need the algorithm.
Because like the McElroys, like we've left hidden messages in every single episode up until this point.
except for the
And it
first
leads-
20 or 30.
No. It leads to a treasure. If you listen to every single one,
you have to go back and listen to every single
Play it
one,
back,
and
play-
eventually you'll find the
Jesus.
Play
magic
the
trick.
fourth-
Play it all in reverse.
play the fourth
In
minute
order of the moon
backwards
rise.
for about 25 seconds, and you'll find a hidden message. String them all together, because we've got like 103 episodes right now. I don't
The treasure is
many.
just
Yeah.
as hard.
Anyway, yeah.
Straight off the deep end we go.
That's what I did.
Jesus.
man.
Anyway,
Jesus.
okay,
What?
you're good. You got your plug.
That's what I got.
Okay.
That's all I got. I'll see you at Nova.
Wake, you got anything to plug?
I got nothing. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Wake, for coming. Steven.
I would like to plug Mid-South Hobbies and Games in Memphis, Tennessee. It is a gigantic hobby store, which somehow, despite being located just down the street from the Warhammer Distribution Center, is still there. Even if you're not necessarily
Did they sell
into,
direct at the distribution center?
And from what you were telling me,
do.
the better of the two hobby stores.
Yes, definitely the better of the two hobby stores. I don't know if
Just
you've ever
answer.
seen the big like bronze statue Space Marine and the big Aquila above the door. That's about all you're gonna see. Not to sell short the experience of visiting the Games Workshop Distribution Center, but there is a lot less to see than you would think.
It's not quite Warhammer World.
It's basically just a Warhammer store attached to a warehouse. So there is one good local store out there to go check out, and it's Mid-South Hobbies and Games. They have a lot of old stuff that looks like it's just been kind of sitting on the shelves for a while, including...
That's our favorite stuff here.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's how you know it's a good game store.
Yep. Including, for those of you collectors out there, it has a hard copy of the first edition Chaos Codex. It still has a copy of the the uniforms and the heraldry of the Space Marine chapters book, which was a limited run sort of thing. It's got
It might not have that for long.
It's got an Imperial Armor Apocalypse book.
Austin's
Which
getting
is kinda
tickets to
cool to
Memphis right
see.
now.
Yeah, right.
Yep. But even if you're not into Warhammer, if you like RC cars, drones, model trains, all that stuff, about half the store is dedicated to that.
It would be weird if there was a
And-
guy who just liked model trains but listened to this podcast.
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe he
what,
just
Steven?
I mean, well, think of it.
The Heresy train.
Yeah, the
Has
Heresy
no
train.
break.
You know
I
how
will
it
say
is
the
when
model
you're-
train shops do have great hobby materials.
It's
Yeah,
true.
and you know how it is when you kind of like discovering
the
new
big
music, when you just start listening to maybe a certain internet radio, and it just like something filters through, and you're like, I like this. Who is this?
We're
Let me
sorry,
listen to
guys.
more.
If
Yeah.
this is your introduction to the
To
horse
model
Heresy,
train or to model trains. We're sorry either way.
some guy's like,
but
that's
yeah.
cool. I'm going to start HO scale training right now. Thanks, Remembrancer's Retreat.
Yep, Mid-South Hobbies and Games.
You sound like a robot.
After
right now.
talking about APOC, man, I'm like really wanting to play a game. Of course, I gotta get my jollies off, and then I want to do like another 60 tactical Marines.
No more gaming for me until Nova. I got so much painting left.
But they are located on Old Summer Road in Memphis, Tennessee.
Cool.
Yep, and that's my only plug. But I also do want to say that if you have bought any of our stickers or patches or anything that you can attach to something else, send us some pictures of those puppies attached to other puppies.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, yeah,
attached to
send us
puppies.
puppy
Hey,
pictures.
speaking of creatures, I got a cat.
Yep.
Yep.
He got
True.
one.
And what is its name? Her name?
Her name is Mohani Mankai of Legio Solari. But we call her Solaria for short because that's what my daughter has decided to call her.
It is a
Her
very
first
cute
name
cat.
is Mohani
Raising the
Mankai.
kid right.
Yeah.
Except for that whole drooling issue.
The cat,
The
not the
cat
kid.
drools. The kid doesn't drool yet.
Not anymore.
We broke Karo.
Not yet. There were his worst things have happened, which I'm not gonna go into. But Steven, why did I know about a store in Memphis like a month ago? I was there twice and didn't know what to do.
Every time I go to a new city for work, I get to my hotel room, I open up Google Maps, and I Google Game Store.
Boy, I can't do this because I have to get somehow back on the airplane without having 3 luggage pieces. So
Oh yeah, no, I just drive
So
everywhere.
you say that.
see, I can't.
Put another plug in for somebody. I think tabletop. I cannot remember the name of it. However,
Good plug.
Yeah,
awesome
there's a-
tabletop
there's a
store.
app called Game 4.
Oh,
GAMEFOR.
Yeah.
And it is really good.
It just shows you what
something-
local
something
stores
I do
nearby.
wanna-
Yes, and it's very accurate. Like it shows you everything.
It's gotten a lot better.
So yeah,
One
Game
more
4.
thing, guys, if you don't mind me plug.
We do.
Too late.
Okay.
You had your
thanks.
time.
No,
Go
go
for it.
ahead, Will.
There is a group. All right, if you're into Horse Heresy, you'll probably be into this, right? We assume you still like Age of Darkness rules and that. So there's a group called M41, and they are doing a Bedabbed War sort of like reenactment thing. So they're using the Age of Darkness Crusade rules, but limiting, of course, era specific to Bedabbed War. So that's before Primaris and before like the Centurion power armor and that. And you're using your regular Mark 7 Marines and obviously Heresy era because fluff reasons like Red Scorpions and Carcharodons. But if you're interested in a change of theater and you want to paint something different, maybe get with these guys and start an M41 Bedabbed War campaign in your local area.
Yeah, and that's literally been going on for like 2 days. They've had the Facebook page up. Well, 2 days
Yeah.
as of now, probably like
Right.
10 by the time you're listening
Hey,
to this. But
hey.
it's new.
I'm gonna try to get it out this week.
All right, well, there you go.
Let's
There you
be
go.
nice.
Look at the Facebook group when you hear this and go there immediately, and then you'll be able to see how long it takes Jesse to get this
Go
on.
do it now.
Because for real dudes, like Bedabbed War, right? You had the 501st Red Devils was an Elysian drop troop regiment there. I'd be down to do some militia using, well, RIP Elysian drop troop
troops.
models.
Boy, do I have
You
bad
know,
news
those
for
are-
you.
Those are out of
Both
production,
in
but
meta
still.
and out.
But they got rules in Apocalypse.
Oh, do they really?
They do, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, for those madmen still holding on to their Elysians.
You know they're all.
Yeah, because Bad Ab
All
War
right,
really
so-
is like
sorry for my take.
pre-heresy.
Oh, you're fine.
Heresy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is what they used to build up the basis for Heresy. Bedabbed War was
For
their first
sweet, sweet
foray
marine on
into.
marine violence.
Yeah, there you go, Dave. Look at that.
It's got
Yeah.
that poster of the Bedabbed
Yeah,
War.
zoom in on that.
Yeah, fun fact. Army
in
of
my
Dark
living room,
Compliance
Austin.
is basically just a transplant of Tyrant's Legion.
Yep.
There you go. All right.
But that's it for me. Sorry for interrupting
Oh, you're
everybody.
And as always, be sure. Oh, you got something
My
else?
plug is not done, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jeez.
continue
Hadn't
on.
even started.
Yeah, I mean, I just got interrupted. I'm used to that. But anyways, if you're an Emperor's Children player and come to Nova, bring your army. Even if you don't plan to play it in any of the events, just bring it. And come to our pop quiz. It's gonna be fun. I hope. It
It'll
better
at
be.
least have some fabulous prizes and
Oh, yeah.
drunken debauchery.
Even if you don't have fun.
What are
which
some
I
of our
highly
fabulous
doubt you
prizes,
won't.
Austin?
I don't know, Stephen. I hear that we've been given one recently.
Yeah, what was it?
Some deck of cards.
Maybe like one of those Dark Millennium decks of cards.
The John Blanche.
I know I donated
posters.
the latest revision of 8th edition rules, so everybody can get. You can come to our chat. I'll give you all 8th ed rules.
And
you got to pay $50 though.
Jesus.
I also put in a free Tyrannid.
Tyrannid?
Tyrannid?
Sorry. I didn't mean
I'm
to make
sorry.
substances.
It's another word.
How many languages do you speak, Jesse?
Bonjour,
The
motherfucker.
most important one.
They add up to one.
Demite. Tyrannid. Whatever.
Tyrannid. I'm
One of
sorry.
those weird-ass aliens.
I thought it was something else, and I fell into that one. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so we'll have.
We're dating for 2 years and he still doesn't understand me. Jesus.
So we'll have some stuff. Nothing too crazy, but some fun things for the winner. Some fun things that I'll have to throw out at people for specific answers.
We might really
And
troll
if
some
you're a
glasses.
loser, guess what?
Endless mockery.
We're gonna punch you in the back of the head.
Nope,
As you
nope.
get to
Just
the old-
endless mockery.
That's only if we catch you cheating.
Yeah.
I'm
Anybody
gonna-
that
He
cheats.
has told me
I'm ring
that
tapping you.
he is ready to just
Pimp
throw
handed strong.
haymakers at people.
I heard that one of the prizes was Dave patting you on the back and going, "You tried."
I wouldn't call that a prize so much
That's
as punishment.
actually-
But
That's actually wrong because it's him patting you on the back and looking you in the eyes and saying, "I'm proud of you."
I'm proud of you, son.
Oh, well,
Oh,
even
yeah,
better.
That sounds more like a prize than a,
Yeah.
than a
You did
loser's
your
pity
best.
prize.
If you
That's the
cheat,
grand
I'm gonna.
prize.
But if you come in dead last, Steven will follow you around all Thursday with a bell going, shame.
No.
Shame.
Oh, I
was
got
gonna tell
something
my
way worse
story.
than that. You're gonna hear the grasshopper story
Oh,
over
there you go.
and over and over.
that's our
again.
lives, though. Ask Steven about the grasshopper story. If you see him at Nova, we'll keep a running count of how many times he's forced to tell it. It'll be good.
Yeah, please do it. If I'm around, I'm gonna translate it in German too.
It's true.
It's great.
It's even
fun.
better in German.
Anyways,
And as always, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at RR30K Podcast. Be sure to check out our website, RR30. What do you have?
I'm sorry. I just felt something in my pocket. Like, what the fuck is that? And it is a large blast template that has been primed white on one side and painted silver on the other.
For what purpose?
I think
I'm not entirely sure at this point.
Austin's making portals in his sleep.
it's gonna play
Losing my goddamn mind.
head and tails. Head
Chaos
and
is
tails,
taking him
kids.
to the ends of the earth.
Also,
I
at
gotta
this
go
point,
home.
Steven's shirt is completely off.
No, it's not. It's
This has completely been taken off. Steven is. I'm
He's
not
like
even
a
sure if he's
scrawny,
wearing clothes.
mustacheless Ron Jeremy.
that's not the word.
Now I gotta Google Ron Jeremy.
Don't. No. Don't.
Too late, man.
Okay. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Well, that's browser history. You won't be able to undelete.
Great.
Yep. We should probably
Hang on,
sign
hang
off
on.
now.
Hang on.
Hope you like hairy
Hang on.
fat men.
Oh, well, no, he's not hairy and fat actually.
Wait, what's,
You're searching the wrong Ron Jeremy.
That is not Ron Jeremy.
It comes up as Ron Jeremy.
that's the
it
ancient,
looks like
that's
an
the ancient
Asian.
Ron Jeremy.
That's-
Yeah,
No.
it's
You need to
Wikipedia.
see like
No.
modern Ron
Yeah.
Jeremy, like
Yeah.
Boondock,
Well, there we go.
Boondock Saints Ron Jeremy.
Oh,
was
that
peak-
dude with the
peak
perm
Ron
mustache.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows
I
him.
mean-
Jeez, I just don't know his name.
Well,
Everybody knows him.
now you've got the
awesome.
name to attach to the face.
Isn't he in
It's a
some
little more
horror movies?
disconcerting. No, you're thinking of.
Machete? Maybe?
That's Danny Trejo.
Yeah, Danny Trejo.
And,
Oh,
he's a goddamn hero.
Or possibly
I don't
Danny
know.
DeVito. It's the same kind of.
Oh my god. We gotta stop.
Holy shit.
Potentially?
All right. If
What,
you-
what
if you-
stuff are you
No,
watching?
we've gone off the
Austin?
rails. We're done here.
we
See,
apologize
so
to the
now I
estates
feel
of Danny
bad.
DeVito and Danny
rolled over.
Trejo.
It's rolled over into After Dark.
Folks, if you enjoy listening to us talk about Ron Jeremy, Danny DeVito, and
You're welcome.
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo, all in the same breath and same sentence, and would like, for some reason, to throw a few dollars our way for it, be sure to check out our Patreon. This week, we'd like to thank our top-tier patrons. Austin is about off the table.
Oh, you're asking for money after talking about Ron Jeremy. There's only one answer here.
That's
He
how Ron,
made
how do
money
you
in
think Ron
different
Jeremy
ways.
pays the bills. He
That
talks about
Go-
Ron Jeremy.
That
and then asks
Ghostbusters
for money.
appearance.
Oh, by the way, he was also in movies, so there we go.
Yeah, he was in Ghostbusters.
It's in
Was
movies,
he?
all right.
We'd like to thank our top-tier patrons this week, Alex Self,
Reading
Chris
your
Mack, Gardner of the Tree of Woe, Joe from Music City Heresy, Mike Nixon, Thank you guys so much.
Sorry.
Caro's just realized that Ron Jeremy has in fact been in more movies than Boondock Saints and
No.
Ghostbusters.
I'm talking about They Ain't Ghostbusters XXX 2011.
Ooh.
Oh God.
Thank
Just
you,
try not to think that
Wikipedia.
And you thought
2011
the all-
8 years ago.
And you thought the all-women Ghostbusters was in 2017? No.
We need to
Austin.
cut this short.
Folks, thank you guys so much again for listening to us. Have a great night. Be a solid war gamer. Respect your fellow players. Enjoy just hanging out with people. Just be a
solid
good person. Thank you. Thank you, Wade.
Yeah, don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Don't be
Keep
that
those
guy.
dice rolling, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you gus for coming over tonight.
Episode link.
Yeah, thank you.
Now get the fuck out.
Go!
Later.
Later.
Ron Jeremy.
Thank you very much, guys.
That
Y'all
was a
have
lot of
great
fun.
night.
Thank you.